Hey guys, Mike here. So I guess we continue the volatile October with a boatload of red today. So yesterday was super green and today just the exact opposite, which of course when I show you one of these charts, you'll kind of say, well, what's new, right? So again, we continue with this crazy upswings, half, 1% swings, midday, all kinds of fun stuff. But, we had some data come out this morning. Some of it was about housing. We had our 20-year Treasury auction, which, again, I never thought I'd be sitting there with a timer waiting to go off to see how that went. And so we'll get into that because that definitely affected the market midday, but it wasn't enough to help it out, that is for sure. And, again, a lot of people, the number one question is like, what in the heck is going on right now with the market? And the big thing is it's the yields. Like the bond market is just a hot mess, right? And so these yields, which I'll show you, they just continue to go up and up and up. And every time we don't think it can set a new 52-week high, it does, right? And so, when is that going to stop? Your guess is as good as mine because we've never really seen anything like this, at least in my lifetime. Let me know if you have and what your prediction is on that. But I keep hearing people call the top on them, and they just continue to go up. And so, again, November 1st, actually it's going to be like October 31st, November 1st, when they talk about the issuance from the Treasury for November, December, how much they're actually going to put out there. They're going to use Treasury, they're going to do the bonds, like what are they going to do? And so that'll have a big effect on it as well to let us know what we need to be looking for going into November and December, right? And so one thing that, again, it continues to hold us up, and people just can't seem to believe this, is the housing market, right? Because it's a hot mess. I mean, if you look at this, you can see from 2010 and 2020, home prices went up, sales went up. All of a sudden, home prices go up in 2022. Sales have just fallen off a freaking cliff. When we zoom into that, you can just see it. I mean, we hadn't seen anything like this in years, right? And then we had, stuff come out today about the housing market saying, housing starts. It was actually almost in line, right? Like, plus 7% month over month versus plus 7.8% estimated, right? Prior month was negative 12.5. And so when you look at this, are you expecting a crazy amount of home starts? Are you expecting a crazy amount of private housing units to be started? Not really. I mean, come on. Well, why are you going to build something if people aren't buying them? My guess is not. And so when you look at this chart, most of it doesn't look very good, right? Well, one reason for this is what happened to the 30-year mortgage today? It actually hit 8%. Now, for those who are much younger, you probably don't remember, this actually used to be normal for a house you're buying like between like the 90s and 2000s. But now people are like 8%. Oh my goodness. So of course with the prices and that, what are people not doing? They're not buying homes, which once again, what does that mean? They're not putting any big down payments on homes. So they have that money just set aside. Because plenty of people want to buy homes. I know people, I'm sure you do. They want to go out and buy a home. It's the biggest purchase you will make in your lifetime. But they're like, nope, not doing that right now. And so that is money just sitting in those bank accounts. That's why people are allowed to travel now. What else has I heard when homes aren't being sold? One of you guys talked about this in Saturday's video. I think you had bought a range or something, and they can come out the next day and install it when it would normally take weeks, right? Why? Because if people aren't buying homes, that means furniture and appliance sales are down. You can see right here, retail sales for furniture have fallen off a cliff. You can see from 2010 to 2020, what'd you see? Straight uptick. Because when you buy a home, you got a furniture, right? I guarantee you see the same thing with appliances. And as long as we're not making these gigantic purchases, that is just money just sitting around the bank account, either going to be invested or just sitting in an interest-bearing account drawing between 4 and 5%. So it'll be interesting to see if we ever obviously get back to a normal housing market, how that's going to affect everything. But you can see now this was the 20-year yield at 1 o'clock. All right, when they did the Treasury auction, you can see they were able to actually put it out there for what was the rate going at that moment. And so this started to drop. And when this started to drop, all of a sudden, you can see right here, and put this in Discord, you got this bounce right here. But it was not to last because the Q's been trading in this channel now for 2 days, and it was a hard rejection. Right there at the top of the channel before it started to sell back off. And sell back off, it did. And of course, when I'm talking about these yields just setting new 52-week highs, you can see right there. Right, we thought to the left, oh yeah, it's a double top, it's not going any higher, and boom. It ends up setting a new 52-week high this morning. A lot of people are predicting this is going to break 5%. Again, we'll have to see. It's not so much, the level it gets at, it's the pace at which it does it. And you can see starting right there on the 12th, I believe that is, going from 4.550 to around 4.95 in a short amount of time will freak the market out. And what's funny about this, though, is you look at what happened today. I mean, everything was selling off, right? The banks are selling off, biogenomics, travel, and of course, UAL just got crushed on earnings today because they warned about the fourth quarter. Because when oil goes up, that means gas prices go up, fuel costs, and that's one of their biggest expenditures besides labor. Again, it didn't matter what it was. I don't care if it was grocery stores, and then all that high beta stuff that was super green yesterday. All those gains are gone. Look at Roku; it got crushed today. Whew, boy. And then you keep coming down, social media, gaming. Your defense stocks are green. Shocker there because, well, you know what's going on with Israel right now. So those right there will probably continue to swing back and forth green. Even the Chinese stocks, had nothing going on, even though I'll go into some news, which you would have thought would actually make them green. EVs got destroyed. FinTech absolutely nuked today, which is one of those kind of days. And, you're going to semiconductors. I mean, we're going to get into those in a little more detail. And then your mega stocks, obviously Tesla, NVDA, absolutely just got hammered today. Now, when you look at it, though, you may not think this, but I report earnings every single day to the members during earnings season. And it's actually been way better than what people thought. And this is the surprise percentage with the 5-year moving average. And it's actually been going up since the last 3 quarters, right? We were going down in 2022, but they're surprising more to the upside, even though the market continues to sell off right now. But again, and before we continue, guys, please hit that like button there at the bottom. Give it a thumbs up. Helps people find the video. And if you like this kind of content, think about subscribing. I appreciate all you guys' support. Earnings apocalypse right now. Everybody keeps expecting. They've been waiting on it for over a year now. Continues to kind of being pushed down the road. Now, with the Magnificent Seven, starting with Tesla and NVIDIA tonight, will that go ahead and set off this earning apocalypse? Because if those start falling, obviously the market, yes, absolutely, is going to tank. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it, because when a handful of stocks makes up, 45% of the Qs, 30% of the S&P, it's a major problem for you. Okay, that's what makes it so dangerous. And normally those kind of stocks make up about 20%. We're used to that. But 30, especially 45 on one, that's just a hot mess waiting to happen, right? And when you look, I mean, you can just see this is the NASDAQ 100 here. And it's just wedging in, right? It's just waiting for an explosive move. You got a weekly fair value gap below, weekly fair value gap above. Pick in the comments which one you think this is going to, because that will act as a magnet when it finally chooses this direction. And you can see with the Qs here, when I mean volatile, right? I mean, these are huge swings, right? 0.5%, 1% to 2% swings, and every time it gives some, it takes it away. And then finally we get on a big roll here. Nope, big gap down in the morning. Don't worry, V-shaped recovery or check mark, Nike switch recovery, whatever you want to call it. And we'll consolidate for a couple of days, then we'll move back up, and then we're going to give half of it back right here. Boom. These are enormous intraday swings right away. And of course, when you just see it, that is a crazy amount of volatility in a short amount of time right there. So October has lived up to its name. And I'll just put a tongue in here and say, yeah, that's the markets. Like, anyway. But hey, it's a trader's dream. So, I mean, traders are loving life. Now, this was the US 100 today. This was just one day. Opened up. These are at least 0.5% swings, if not more, each and every time a day. And so it just kept sucking people back in, thinking, oh, yeah, this is the reversal. Now the liquidity grab, bam, sell off. Oh, this is the reversal. Nope, liquidity grab, sell off. Multiple times a day. And then you had the Russell 2000, obviously huge gains yesterday. It gave every penny of that back and then some, because as I'm speaking, it already broke that line right there. And so you can see, I mean, that's the Russell, right? There was no reason for this to be moving up yesterday. It made literally no sense whatsoever. And so I just gave it all back. And that's what I was saying. These moves mean nothing until it gets above a certain level, which we're going to take a look at right here. And so the level you want to get past is like 176 right there. If you can get above that, you got a chance. But right now you can see, I mean, the momentum, well, there is no momentum to speak of, excuse me. But in the middle of that volume gap is another gap. So again, it's just whenever flow wants to come flying back in this thing, you should have a nice move up. But right now in this setting, that makes no sense right now for this. But the market does like to front run stuff, right? And so we'll see if it ever will get some love. Now Tesla broke that trend line right there, and you can see that's the one that goes back about 6 months. And so again, with earnings, and this is what a lot of people were waiting on for earnings. They're like, wow, there's a 200 down there. There's a gap to fill. Man, this thing gets down to 200, which by the way would be a $30 move. Oh, can you imagine how many people will be piling into that right now? And Tesla just reported as I'm recording this. You can see so far it's down, but the initial move sometimes isn't the real move that's going to be made. So we'll see how it plays out tomorrow. And then you got NVIDIA, and NVIDIA had a whole bunch of stuff going on, right? I mean, again, it's been a rough 2 days for NVIDIA, really a rough 4 days. But, you know, when you look, obviously falling back down to that trend line, you got to watch between like 412 to 418. This thing continues to show weakness right there. So make sure you watch out for that. Let me write that in. That's a terrible 418. But again, 412, 418, if it can't regain like 423, that's where it needs to get back up to. But again, what I want to see is, does this head and shoulders actually play out? I doubt it. But again, it's still in play right now. So we'll have to see. Let me know in the comments if you think that's going to happen. Again, here's a neckline right here. That will put it down into that gap, which that's why I seriously doubt that's going to happen. But you never know, right? I mean, big money's been pushing this thing up. Maybe a lot of profit taking will take place, and you can see the manipulation, right, by the bigger firms. So what's Citi do? They come out, lower the price target, 630 to 575. Then you have another one, Morgan Stanley, from 630 to 600 here. And then you had a response from NVIDIA, which President Biden talked about he's going to decrease or trying to cut off China from these chips that they make and everything. The biggest thing to look into this is what they're saying, and feel free to read through all this if you want to. It may make them hard, you know, for them to support the customers, you know, and the new licensing requirements and stuff. But what they say is, in the short term, it shouldn't affect the next earnings they're going to report. And after that, that's when you're going to have to try to figure it out. That's the very last sentence, right? The company's third quarter of fiscal 2024 ends on October 29th, 2023. The interim final rule is effective 30 days after its publication. So we do not anticipate that the additional restrictions will have a near-term meaningful impact on our financial results. So again, the market's supposed to be forward-thinking. Does that mean it's going to affect the next quarter? Is that what that means? So that's what we got to wait and figure out. And maybe you're seeing the market kind of price that in. Now, the craziest thing is, though, when I look at AMD, I see the opposite. Instead of a head and shoulders, to me, it looks like an inverse head and shoulders. It looks like we're trying to make out that right shoulder. Are you seeing that? It's like I am, or what? And so let me know in the comments if you're seeing what I'm seeing. But, you know, that would make this the neckline, which means if it played out, you'd be between somewhere 124, 126-ish up there, that shaded area up there, if that actually did play out. The question is, if NVIDIA shows weakness, can AMD not show weakness and start, you know, pulling itself away from NVIDIA, which it hasn't shown in the past over the last year at least. And so I don't know about that one. That's what we got to wait and figure out. Now, Netflix, you can see so much for drama and a cliffhanger because it broke through down out of this channel today. And Netflix just reported, and boy, I sure wish I'd have bought those calls now, but they were just way too expensive. But boy, this thing spiked huge, up 8% right now. We'll see what happens on the call with this one. And then you got Meta. Meta's been holding up pretty strong, right? It's staying right there on that line, which was resistance. Now it's turning into support. Again, this one can still drop. Looks like the MACD is about to try to do a bearish cross maybe on the daily. A little momentum slowing like all of them. This one reports next week, and it's been one of the strongest performers by far, not just throughout the year, but again, a lot of bullish talk on Meta because they look at its valuation, not saying it's not expensive, but when they compare it to the other Magnificent Seven, they're like, maybe it is a little cheaper, right? That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying I believe that. I'm saying that's what I keep reading. Now, earnings tomorrow aren't going to be like today. You're going to have AT&T, American Airlines, Taiwan Semiconductors before the bell, CSX Railroad, Intuit Surgical, and so not like the big ones you had today. Now, you will have some crazy data coming out in the morning with continuous jobless claims, initial jobless claims, Philadelphia manufacturing data, which people like to actually look at to see if it's improved or not, versus the New York data. You'll have a lot of Fed speakers as usual, existing home sales, which I guess are probably not going to be very good because, again, we're not selling our homes. Watch out for this one, though, because you will have Fed Chair Powell speaking at noon. So you could have some kind of reversal. Again, I don't know what kind of setting it is he's going to be in. But you know the market loves to react when that man opens his mouth. So, again, there's no way he's going to say anything different than what he's been saying, you would think. And, again, I don't know what the setting is. I don't know if he's answering questions. Let me know in the comments if you happen to know the answer to that and stuff. But, you know, right now the market is just like hinging on these yields and these bond auctions and stuff like that. And that's what's happening, which we've never seen before, right? We never talked about it before. I mean, I'm in the discourse and they're going, oh, here's the bond auction. Oh, look. And people report, oh, this is how it went. And the yields didn't spike. They came down some. And so, you know, it's an interesting market, to say the least. And again, I always say 10 years from now, 20 years from now, you will always look back at this market and say, boy, what a year first. Do you remember from 2020 to 2024, that range, how crazy it was in the market, right? I mean, that's what we'll be doing. Again, they'll write books about this time period, right? And a lot of bad decisions made and a lot of good decisions, that kind of stuff. So that's where we're at. But here's one thing we know. Tomorrow, it's going to be volatile, right? That's the only thing you consistently can say. So far in October, it has been consistently volatile. And that data is going to come out in the morning, absolutely can swing that market in one way or the other. So just keep that in mind. And then at noon, when Powell speaks, who knows what the market wants to do on that one. But again, we'll see how the earnings keep turning out and stuff. They keep turning out powerful or not, and beating expectations. Or do we finally take a turn, right? So anyway, again, sorry for my voice, guys. Hopefully it'll keep trying to get better and stuff like that. We'll see. I appreciate your patience. So anyway, hope you have a good one. Please hit that like and subscribe button, and I will see you tomorrow.